For those of you listening on the pod, I did it myself. All right, there you go. Um, let me make a quick little note here. I apologize. Let me get into this. All right, just to know where I left off. Okay, so again, I didn't plan on going that far with the receiver talk, and I want people to understand. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just simply saying it should not be the top priority. Me personally. But let's move it along here. The second pick that the Packers made in this mock was JT Tuamaloa. I think I'm saying that name right. Obviously, Ohio State edge defender. When I seen that at first, guys, I thought, I feel like he's a little lower on our board. I haven't mocked him to the Packers much at all at 54, right? And this kind of blindsided me a little bit. And then when I got to digging and put this in the article here, with the 54th pick, Chad Reuter has the Green Bay Packers bolster their defensive front by selecting Ohio State edge defender JT Tuamaloa, a standout ranked as the 44th best prospect on our PTA big board. Tuamaloa's blend of power, agility, and relentless motor makes him a high-value addition at this stage, offering the Packers a versatile pass rusher to complement their defensive scheme. This selection signals Green Bay's intent to fortify their trenches, providing a steal at pick 54 to disrupt opposing offenses in the NFC. I know, I completely understand that we have a whole lot of Ohio State haters that watch the show, because anytime I talk Ohio State, I get roasted sometimes in the comments. And I can appreciate the passion for people not liking specific teams. I grew up hating specific college football teams as well. But with that being said, I want the best football players for the Green Bay Packers. I could give a rat's ass who they played for. I don't care if they played for Podunk University, Valdosta State, doesn't matter to me. I want the best football players. You know, the team that I probably hate the most right now, being a Notre Dame fan, it's probably USC. And Caleb Williams really helped kind of stabilize that hatred for USC. As a Kentucky fan, you really like to root against Florida, the Florida Gators, because for so long they just kicked us all over the field. But man, Elijah Badger late in the draft, give me that dude. Give me him, right? I can't think of anybody right off the bat for USC. That's pretty cool. I dogged them without even planning it. I can't think of anybody for USC that I would want right off the bat here. But that's kind of how I see it. So I understand the hatred for Ohio State, but this Tuamaloa, the fact that he was 44th on our board, I went, why has that never lined up for us? Maybe it's because in most mock drafts, he's going a little earlier than that. I don't know. Or going too early that he's not there at 54. But I thought that was interesting. What do you guys think about Tuamaloa at 54? I want to get the chat's take on this, and I'll try to weave it in here, at least read it myself here after the stream. I wanted to get your all's take on that, because that's one that hasn't really popped up to me much, for sure. Let's see. Rod in the chat says, I have a feeling that Badger will go much earlier than we think. I'd say you're probably right, Rod. We can't be the only knuckleheads that stumbled onto him with the success against man coverage and the drop rate, right? Like, there's going to be other people that like him probably a lot higher than we do. And again, he's lower on our board because you guys know how our board lines up. There's multiple reasons why he's down there that low. But when you look at the man coverage in the hands, there's a lot to like there. Do You Rant says JTT is legit at 54. I'm glad I'm not the only one seeing it. Again, it kind of caught me off guard, man. John Smith says not the worst pick. All right, cool. All right, let's see here. The Monster Aggressor says, I want Nolan or Grant first round and then edge. Let's just create monsters up front. I mean, that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint that the Eagles have set in motion, right? So I would be totally on board with taking a 3-tech in the first round. But again, I'll be okay with Ibuka at 23. People are going, Clayton, you just spent the whole show saying wide receiver isn't as important as some people make it out to be. True. But when the value's there, when the board lines up, yeah, you could take it. So it's totally cool. But if Kenneth Grant's there and he's significantly higher on the board than Ibuka, Ted McMillan's the only wide receiver that I would like over any defensive tackle in this draft, me personally. Really any other position in this draft, outside of like we talk about, like an Armand Mimbu falling, boy, I would run the card on that one, me personally. There's several different players that, probably 3 or 4 that I go, yeah, I would take them over Ted. Ted's one that I really like Ted, man. I do. And again, you guys know we done a deep dive on the whole him not liking to watch film. I love how people still keep bringing it up, but they're failing to mention. They always conveniently leave out he said that after his freshman year 2 years ago when the kid was whatever he was, 19 years old. And he didn't say he doesn't watch film. He said he doesn't enjoy watching film. Okay. Yeah, take him off the board. That blew my mind. So, again, man, I think somebody like Tet or Egbuka I would be totally on board with for sure. Let's see here if anybody else on Tuamaloa. Here we go. Let's see here. Here's a little bit of Tuamaloa talk. Deadfish says Tuamaloa was high on Baz's edge analysis. Good stuff, man. Good stuff there. H.E. Soder says Tuamaloa feels a lot like LVN. Let me look at our board real quick because you may be onto something there, Soder. Let me just check real quick. We got him in the 44 spot. Let me go ahead and drop this down. Actually, we're done with this. Let's get that out of here. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that little write-up. I think it's cool to see other people's mock drafts like that and just kind of see where they've got certain guys. So, JT Tuamaloa, when we look at why he is in the spot that he's in on our big board, okay, 2022, he was 183rd at his position. 2023, he was 191st at his position, took a step back. And then in 24, he jumps all the way to 31st at his position. So really, really good PFF grade in 2024. PFF Big Board at the end of the college football season had him in the 43 spot. Consensus Big Board had him at 53. Daniel Jeremiah had him at 49. Kyle Krabs had him at 60. Dane Brugler had him at 41. He's a 9+ RAS. I think I can see where you're coming from there, but the only way I would push back there, Soder, it doesn't really feel like LVN to me because of that PFF grade, and the fact that, like I said, Daniel Jeremiah having him in that spot. And again, we're talking about 54, right? We're not talking about 23, but I'd have to do a little more digging, Soder. I'd like to see what his pressure rate and all that stuff is because obviously that's not baked into the board. We just got the grades and the rankings and everything, but you may be onto something there. If anybody knows his pressure rate and his sack totals, let us know in the chat. I'd like to know. But again, with Tuamaloa, he meets the threshold. He was not a Senior Bowl guy. He was a team captain, right? The Packers have not met with him, but that could be one of those guys that, hey, they didn't even need to meet with him. We like what we see there. Let's don't tip our hand. Could have been the case as well. So, all right. So there you go. A little Tuamaloa talk from that mock draft. Now let's move on to the next thing here. We're going to do a different kind of mock draft here. I want to do a regular one, but I thought this was interesting. Okay. And I want to get your all's take on it too. This is called the Draft IQ cheat sheet. Now, it may be a little hard for you guys to read here. I'm going to try to zoom in as much as I can. Okay. And here's what Next Gen Stats is powered by Next Gen Stats. This is over at NFL.com. This was really interesting to me. So the way they've got it set up is they've got each team where they're picking, right, in order. Titans, Browns, it's from left to right and then working from top to bottom. Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots, Jaguars, everybody in order. And what they did was they put, and it says pick the player you think each team will draft based on Mike Van's projected big boards. So they did a projection of a short list of a big board at each of these picks that they think these teams would be interested in. All right. So with this specific mock draft here, and again, I know it's not technically a mock draft, but it kind of is. We're going to walk through the first round real quick. So with the Titans, they got 3 players they think they would be interested in taking here. And can you guys see this? Make sure, let me know in the chat if you can see this, okay? I want to make sure you can read these names. If you can't, I can go full screen. Actually, matter of fact, let's just go full screen and make it a little easier. So with the Titans, it's Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter. I think they're going to go Cam Ward, so let's go ahead and make that selection. Now, notice here with the Browns, they've got Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Shedeur Sanders. So when we take Cam Ward now is off the list for the Browns. See? So now it updates their mini big board in going to the next pick. So now with the Browns on the clock, it's between Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, and Shedeur Sanders, okay? I don't think they're going to take Shedeur Sanders. If it were me, I would go Abdul Carter if I was Cleveland. But Travis Hunter seems to be linked to them more than any other team that I've seen here recently. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go Travis Hunter right here. So now Travis Hunter is off the short list for the Giants. So now you've got Abdul Carter, Shedeur Sanders, and Mason Graham potentially to the Giants. Now listen, the Giants met with Shedeur Sanders, had him come out and work out for him if I remember correctly. That doesn't mean they're going to take him. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to drop a little bit. So let's say it's between Abdul Carter and Mason Graham. If I were the Giants, I would go Abdul Carter here. So now Abdul Carter comes off the short list for the Patriots. So now with the Patriots on the clock at pick number 4, again, just to recap, Titans went Cam Ward, Browns went Travis Hunter, Giants went Abdul Carter. So now with the Patriots, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Armand Membu, Jalen Walker, Josh Simmons, and Tet McMillan are the choices. Now, they just went out and got – who was the receiver they got, guys? Was it that knucklehead that was in Minnesota for a little bit? Who was the receiver that the Patriots just picked up? I'm going to take a drink here for the voice goes. Trying to think of who it was, and his name's escaping me right now. I should know it because I can still see him. He's shown his ass everywhere he went. Buffalo, then I think to Houston, and now I think he's with the Patriots. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, I think they're probably not going to go receiver here. And Stephon Diggs. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, buddy. So it's Abdul Carter, Shedeur Sanders, and Mason Graham here, right? Or I'm sorry, Will Campbell, Mason Graham, Armand Membu, Jalen Walker, Josh Simmons, Tet McMillan. I don't think they'll go Tet McMillan here. Now, who's their new head coach? Mike Vrabel, former defensive guy. He believes in the trenches big time. So not having access to my board at the moment, just looking at this, I'm going to say that he's going to go with Mason Graham, defensive tackle. Okay, it would either be him or Jalen Walker, who he's listed as a stack backer here, but everybody's saying he's going to be an edge rusher in the NFL. I just don't like him that much. He'll drop a little bit on my board. It's kind of how I see him. So we're going to go Mason Graham. Well, let me ask you guys this. Should we go offensive lineman for the Patriots? That's the question, right? Because if we go offensive lineman, they need somebody to protect, obviously, Drake May up there. So it's either between offensive lineman or defensive tackle. Which would you guys choose? I need it quick, too. First one to mention it, that's what we'll go with. Do we go O-line for the Patriots, or will we go with Mason Graham here? And we'll go quicker here in a second. I just want to get these top 5 or 6 right. United Base says, I think New England will go O-line. Soder says defensive tackle. Next one breaks the tie. Guys. O-line or D-tackle here for the Patriots. Because I can see an argument for both. All right, we'll go D-tackle there. Chase Green says D-tackle. So let's go Mason Graham for the Patriots. All right, so now he comes off the short board for the Jaguars. So now the Jaguars' top choices are Will Campbell, Ashton Gianti, Jalen Walker, Kelvin Banks, and Armand Membu. Got kind of the pick of the litter there amongst tackles, okay? We'll keep this real simple. I'm going to go, and it's interesting to think. You've got Mr. Duval himself, right, who's taking over down there. Let me give him a shout-out real quick. I think we can do this. I believe we can. I think we can. Let me give him a little shout-out.
Duval.
All right, so offensive mind, right? Liam Cohen, right? I could see him going offensive line here. So I'm going to go Will Campbell for the Jaguars here, okay? So we'll go Will Campbell, whether he plays tackle or guard. I think he can play tackle. That's just me personally. I know many people don't like the arm length. So the Raiders are going to choose between Ashton Gianti, Armand Membu, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Walker, or Will Johnson here. Pete Carroll's the new head coach out there, right? Loves defense. There's only one defensive player actually 2 defensive players on the board here. Go Will Johnson or Jalen Walker. I'm going to go Will Johnson here with the Raiders. All right, so the Raiders are going to take Will Johnson. So now the Jets are on the clock. Armand Membu at tackle, Ty Warren at tight end, Shedeur Sanders at quarterback, Jalen Walker at linebacker. All right, or edge, I should say. So when you look at the Jets, I'm going to say that they're going to go with I don't think they'll take a quarterback. I think they like Justin Fields at least to try to give him a legit shot to do something special there. I'm going to go Jalen Walker here to continue to bolster that defensive paralysis up there, which obviously they got their new defensive-minded head coach. Name's escaping me right now. I'm looking at all these names. I can't think of it. Former defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, right? So we'll go Jalen Walker here. Carolina Panthers, Mykel Williams, Tet McMillan, Jahdae Barron, or Shamar Stewart. This is kind of tough here. I'm going to say that the Carolina Panthers are going to go Tet McMillan here. All right, they're going to try to get Bryce Young a big wide receiver target there. Okay, so now we're on to the Saints. This is where I think Shedeur Sanders could potentially go. Now, they don't pick again in the first round, but many people think they'll trade back up in the first to try to get him. So if Shedeur Sanders is going to come off the board, it may be right here. When you look at the injury concern they have with their quarterback now, with Derek Carr and that shoulder. So really what it comes down to is Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, or Ty Warren. Okay? That's a tough one. I'm going to say that the Saints are going to go Shedeur Sanders here. Okay, I'm going to say he's coming off the board right now. Next, you got Chicago, Ashton Gianti, Kelvin Banks, Ty Warren, Armand Membu, Mykel Williams, Omarion Hampton. They've been building the offensive line throughout the offseason, but many people see that and they go, okay, they're not going offensive line. They just spent a bunch of money on offensive line and free agency. Remember when the Packers spent a ton of money in free agency to get Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and drafted Rashawn Gary as well? It means it's at the forefront of their mind. I think they're going to go offensive line here if they don't go Ashton Gianti. So I'm going to give them Armand Membu here. Breaks my heart because I think Membu's a hell of a player. Now let's move on to the 49ers. Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, Jahdae Barron, Mike Green, or Kenneth Grant. I think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to go – I think they'll probably go Kenneth Grant here, boys. That's what I would go with anyway. All right, now the Dallas Cowboys, Ashton Gianti, Matthew Golden, or Mykel Williams. Matthew Golden has been linked to the Packers here a lot. I could see Ashton Gianti. If I were the Cowboys in this position, I had to pick between those three players. It sounds silly, but I'm going Ashton Gianti because they've already got CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott's kind of, hey, look, his back's against the wall. You get him a running game as well. Ashton Gianti, to me, looks like a generational running back. That's what we're going to go there. Next, we got the Dolphins. We'll try to go a little quicker here. The Dolphins, the choices are Kelvin Banks Jr., Malachi Starks, Josh Simmons, and Nick Emenware. All right. I kind of feel like they need an offensive tackle, seeing that, their offense seemed like it took a step back in the second half of the season last year. And, Tua with the concussion issues, I could see that being the route they go. I could also see them going safety, but I'm going to go Kelvin Banks Jr. here, tackle for the Dolphins. Next, you've got the Colts. They could get the best tight end in Ty Warren, Josh Simmons tackle, Colston Loveland, or Gray Zabel. They lost their center in free agency, if I remember correctly. I'm almost positive they lost their center. Now, maybe they got another one lined up. I don't know their roster well enough. Regardless, Gray Zabel could play on the interior there as well. If they do need a center, I would definitely go Gray Zabel. So why don't I just do that let's just do it. Let's go Gray Zabel here for the Colts. I could see that being a good pick there. Falcons, Mike Green, Shamar Stewart, Mykel Williams, Jahdae Barron, and Nick Emenware. What would the Falcons need here? I'm trying to think of who their coach is. Defensive-minded coach, right? Young coach under Sean McVay. His name's escaping me right now. I could see him going defense here. Would it be Jahdae Barron or edge? Get kind of your pick of the litter at edge here. I'm going to say this is where Mike Green comes off the board. He's really high on our board. I know there's personal issues, but when you do mock drafts, you can just say, okay, we refuse to take them, right? But you don't know if teams actually are removing them from the board or not. So we'll go Mike Green here. Arizona Cardinals. Daryl, I don't know who you calling goof, bro, but chill out, man. Don't be in there insulting people, all right? Say you got put in timeout the other day. You called somebody a liar. Just chill. It's all good, man. We're all friends here. Have a good time. Take a sip. Relax, all right? There's nothing that drives me crazier than I'm about to go on a damn soapbox. Like, don't do it. Like, people are plugging into the show to relax. They're plugging into the show to hang out. They're plugging into the show to just kind of, hey, man, let's have a good time here, do a little mock draft, talk a little Packers. We don't need to be in the chat insulting each other, all right, man? Let's just act like grown-ups, okay? That's coming from the biggest kid on the face of the earth. Bramble says, bring it in. It just drives me crazy. Like, let's just get along, people, please. Arizona people on the podcast are going, I got to go watch the YouTube show, see what was said. Arizona, Mykel Williams, Jahad Campbell, or Tyler Booker. All right. With the Cardinals there, Jahad Campbell's intriguing. Tyler Booker's intriguing. Mykel Williams is probably the position of more importance. Seeing that they got linebacker listed, I imagine that is a need for them. They've been known to take a hybrid linebacker. Isaiah Simmons they drafted very early, albeit I know it's a new regime and everything. It kind of just feels like that's something the Cardinals would do. Let's say Jahad Campbell goes right here. All right? Let's go Jahad Campbell here. Y'all cracking me up in the chat. I got to stop looking at it. We're never going to get through this. Cincinnati Bengals, Michael Williams, Derek Harmon, Shamar Stewart, Malachi Starks, and Walter Nolan. The common theme we're seeing here over the last, 8 or 10 picks, guys, it's literally been Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart on every list. So it kind of feels like I could see a scenario where those two guys drop to the Packers at 23. I don't know if I like that, to be honest with you. But with the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson's future still up in the air, it sounds like they may still trade him. So if that's the case, let's take one of those two edge defenders there. We've got Shamar Stewart significantly higher than Michael Williams. So I'm going to say the Bengals are going to go with Shamar Stewart here. All right. Seattle Seahawks, they went and got our boy Sam Darnold. I feel like they need to protect him if it makes sense on the board. You got Tyler Booker there. Many people see him as a first-round talent. That would make sense here. Nick Imamore, safety, that would make some sense there as well. Colston Loveland tight end. Emeka Egbuka has entered the chat along with Matthew Golden here and Malachi Starks. So if you were to go with a safety here, we've got Malachi Starks higher than Nick Imamore. If you go offensive line, it would be Tyler Booker. And seeing that he's the only offensive lineman available, kind of feels like there's a short list for those. So let's go Tyler Booker here for Seattle. Next, you got Tampa Bay, Michael Williams, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks, and Nick Imamore. I hate to do this, but if I'm Tampa, I can see the value being so good here according to our board. Hands down, the best player available here is Jahdae Barron. So we're going to go Jahdae Barron to Tampa. Breaks my heart. I was really hoping he'd fall to the Packers. So Denver Broncos, Ty Warren. That's still the best tight end in the draft, right, guys? Let me scroll up. Pretty sure. Ty Warren. Yeah, Ty Warren is the best in the draft. Man, that would give Bo Nix a great target. Also, Sean Payton loves his tight ends. Remember Jimmy Graham days, right? That makes all the sense in the world. We're going to go Ty Warren to the Broncos here. Next, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jackson Dart, Derek Harmon, Michael Williams, and Omarion Hampton. They need a quarterback, right? Jalen Milroe has been linked to them. They may go quarterback. They may go Jalen Milroe in the second round. I think last I heard the over-under was 2.5, and I don't know what bookie had it. But if the over-under on quarterbacks taken in the first round is 2.5, I would definitely take the over, me personally. We're already at 2 with Shedeur Sanders going earlier to the Saints. So I'm going to say Jackson Dart here to the Steelers, all right? And they get their quarterback of the future. Again, I could see them doing that in the second round with Jalen Milroe. Or who knows, man? They may take Jalen Milroe at this pick, but he's not an option here in this particular mock. Next, you got the Chargers, Colston Loveland, Matthew Golden, and Derek Harmon, defensive tackle. We know, guys, remind me where Derek Harmon played college. It's Oregon, right? So it wasn't Michigan. I was thinking, did he play for Michigan? Where did Colston Loveland play college football? That was Michigan, right? Who's the head coach with the Chargers? That's right. Jim Harbaugh, right? So I could see this being Colston Loveland here, right? So let's go Colston Loveland. Jim Harbaugh is going to get his tight end back from Michigan and Colston Loveland. I think that's a good pick for them. That also gives their franchise QB another target. So now here we are, Green Bay Packers on the clock. Here are the only two options it's given us. Chris Ian's going to love this, by the way. Did Harmon start there too? Michigan State, Clayton. Harmon started there. Okay, gotcha. So, yeah. All right. No, I was thinking of Colston Loveland at Michigan. But, yeah, I was asking because of Harmon. At first, I was like, no, it was Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham that was at Michigan. That's the reason I was asking. But, yeah, Colston Loveland obviously playing for Michigan. So the two top choices here, according to this, we can't – guys, we're not allowed to select anybody else. We got to choose between Derek Harmon and Donovan Ezaraku here, right? So when we look at those two, okay, let me put my draft board over on the other screen here real quick so I can get both of them up. Derek Harmon on our board. And by the way, I don't like these two choices. I wish we had other choices. Not that I don't like these two players. I just don't like having to choose between these two in this spot. I'd probably trade back. Although Derek Harmon's in the 25 spot, Donovan Ezaraku is in the 31 spot. Donovan Ezaraku was a captain, and he met with the Packers, and he was a Senior Bowl participant. However, he does not meet the threshold, and he was not a top 30 visit, right? Derek Harmon only meets the threshold, but that could be one of those players Goody's on. I'm going to stick to our board here and we're going to go Derek Harmon. He's 25th on our board. Yep, 25th on our board. And he's a few spots higher, 7 spots higher than Donovan Ezaraku, who's in the 31 spot, so 6 spots higher. So we're going to go Derek. Actually, I want the chat. You guys let me know here. Would you rather have, make sure I'm not off my rocker here, just one word, just the name. Tell me who you would rather have. If you've already topped it, please top it again for me, okay? Derek Harmon, just say Harmon or Ezaraku. Harmon or EZ, let me know here. Who would you take in this spot? Looks like we got Wes Robb says Harmon feels the bigger need. Got it. So that's his vote there. Yeah, look at Deadfish says Walter Nolan shows up on the Buffalo pick at 29. Yeah, it's a great point. Again, we do these exercises to kind of learn. All right, that's showing they're maybe going a little later, right? Eric Sutherland says Harmon. United Bates says Harmon. Rod Jen says definitely Harmon. John Smith, Harmon. Pointer Doug says Harmon. Soder says I like the Vikings list better. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? With the next pick, it's Nick Emmanwori, Malachi Starks. I know we don't like them, but you'd have Derek Harmon, Maxwell Hairston, and Savone Revel. I don't think it'll let me pick one of those guys. If we do, it may pick them for the Vikings, you know? And they probably got it to where you can jump around. Everybody's saying Harmon here. Look, I knew Chris was going to say Ezaraku. Chris, if Ezaraku hits in this draft, guys, we will never hear the end of it from Chris Ian because he has been standing on the mountain for Ezaraku. And again, I don't think he's a bad prospect. He's just a little bit lower on our board than we like, right? So, yeah, I'm with you, though, Soder. I kind of like the Vikings choice there better. I probably still go Derek Harmon, although Savone Revel, if Savone Revel was an option for us here, he's in the 26th spot for us. Derek Harmon is 1 spot higher, so you can make a little bit of a case for Savone if he is healthy. And again, Goody knows that, we don't. But the chat has spoken. We're going to go Derek Harmon, defensive tackle. There we go, boy. That struggled a little bit. That worried me. All right, next you get the Vikings. So the Packers, again, we take 3-tech Derek Harmon, one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles in this draft. I like it. I would be totally on board with that. Next you get the Vikings. Nick Emmanwori, Malachi Starks, Maxwell Harrison, and Savone Revel Jr. If I am them, I'm taking the best safety on my board, and that's Malachi Starks. Nick Emmanwori is a physical freak, but Malachi Starks is significantly higher. He's in the 23 spot for us. Okay. Now I want to say Greg Cosell, he got a 7-point bonus. Nick Emmanwori did from Greg Cosell, so he likes him better than Malachi Starks. There's no doubt. But again, Malachi Starks being higher on our board, we're going to go Malachi Starks here for the Minnesota Vikings. Group him up with their aging safety room, and maybe he can learn a couple things from that group up there. Has played well for so long. Next, you got the Houston Texans. Emeka Egbuka, Josh Simmons, and Matthew Golden are the picks here. But I wish if Egbuka had been available for us there to take in this little exercise, he would have been in the 21 spot. That hands down would have been our pick, no doubt about it. So just keep that in mind. We're going with the short list that they provided based off their information. So with this pick here, who's higher, Matthew Golden or Egbuka? It's definitely Egbuka. However, Josh Simmons, I want to say, is higher than Egbuka. I could be. Nope, Josh Simmons is lower than Egbuka. So we're going to go with Emeka Egbuka to Houston. Obviously, they just lost Stephon Diggs to the Patriots. So they're going to replace him with Egbuka. I think that'd be a good pick for them. Next, you got the LA Rams. You got Matthew Golden, Maxwell Hairston, and Azareye'h Thomas. So obviously they think they have a cornerback need there. Azareye'h Thomas or Maxwell Hairston. I want to say Maxwell Hairston is significantly lower for us. Azareye'h Thomas is a bit of a reach for us here as well. He's in the 65 spot. So I'm going to go Matthew Golden here for the LA Rams. So you're seeing a couple receivers come off the board here after we picked at 23. All right, up next, you got the Baltimore Ravens. Nick Emmanwori, safety, or Donovan Ezaraku. Nick Emmanwori, hands down, the better player. We're going to go with him. Detroit Lions, the choices are Donovan Ezaraku, Nick Scorton, Donovan Jackson, or Maxwell Hairston. This is a good little case study here. Donovan Ezaraku is in the 31 spot for us. Nick Scorton is in the 34. Donovan Jackson, I do not know where he's even at on our list. Significantly lower, obviously. And then Maxwell Hairston's lower. So this is definitely your boy Donovan Ezaraku here going to the Detroit Lions. I know it breaks your heart there, Chris Ham. I apologize, sir. Washington Commanders up next. You got Mykel Williams. Notice how Mykel Williams wasn't on that list, but Donovan Ezaraku was. That's interesting, right? Like, why do they have them linked there? Because, like, with Mykel Williams, let's see where Mykel was in the 20 spot. We probably would have taken Mykel over Derek Harmon. I don't know. It's close enough. Same tier, it looks like. 5-point increment tier, as we showed you guys earlier. I probably still would have went Derek Harmon there. So in this case, we're definitely going Mykel Williams for the Washington Commanders. Their defensive, great defensive mind up there in, God, what's his name? Dan Quinn gets another great player there. Buffalo Bills, they only got one choice. This is easy. Walter Nolan. Man, that makes me mad. Would love to have had the shot to get Walter Nolan. That would have definitely been our pick. We would have taken him because he's 19 on our board. You guys see, the one thing we've learned here, I'm just going to talk about this for just a second, is Walter Nolan was available on the board, and this exercise says the Packers should not have taken Walter Nolan, right? Or maybe they wouldn't have taken him. However, our board was screaming, take him. Now, remember, that's not just he's got a high grade on our board. Top 30 visit, Senior Bowl visit, played in the Senior Bowl, dominated in the Senior Bowl, meets the athletic threshold, team captain, everything across the board. Like, the closer we get to the draft, Walter Nolan's my dude, man. Like, that's the guy that, like, when we get to 23, if Walter Nolan's on the board, our board is going to scream, take Walter Nolan. It really is. Unless one of these other guys on our board that's in the gold and the spade, like Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart's the guy that according to the gold standard and the spade on our board would suggest, hey, this is the dude that you should take. But I think Walter Nolan is more day one ready than a Shamar Stewart who's still got to learn to rush the passer, you know? So love this exercise. This is fun. Kansas City Chiefs, Josh Simmons or Luther Burden III. After seeing Patrick Mahomes running for his life the entire time, we're going to give him Josh Simmons here. During the Super Bowl, I meant. And then, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to choose between Nick Scorton or Mason Taylor, tight end. That's really, really interesting because could they use another offensive weapon, seeing how bolstered up that defense is? If it comes down to Nick Scorton or Mason Taylor, Nick Scorton on our board is sitting in the 34 spot, and Mason Taylor is in the 42 spot. So we're going to go Nick Scorton here to the Eagles. I think that will be a solid pick for them. So there you go. That's how it felt. I thought that was really interesting. Hopefully you guys didn't think that was boring, but just to kind of see based off of next gen stats, right? And it's pick the player you think the team will draft based on Mike Band's projected big boards, kind of saying these are the players that make the most sense for these teams, right? So really, really, man, Margin Cron out of control. Don't look at the chat, guys. So, geez, Pete. Based off of the short boards, right, that they projected for each of these teams, here's how the first round would fall, okay? And how we would have picked based off of our board combined with that short list. Number 1 pick to the Titans, Cam Ward. Number 2 to the Browns, Travis Hunter. Number 3 to the Giants, Abdul Carter. Number 4 to the Patriots, Mason Graham. 5 to the Jaguars, Will Campbell. 6 to the Raiders, Will Johnson. 7 to the Jets, Jalen Walker. 8 to the Panthers, Tet McMillan. 9 to the Saints, Shedeur Sanders. 10 to the Bears, Armand Membu. 11 to the 49ers, Kenneth Grant. 12 to the Cowboys, Ashton Gianti. 13 to the Dolphins, Kelvin Banks. 14 Colts, Gray Zabel. 15 Falcons, Mike Green. 16 Cardinals, Jahad Campbell. 17 Bengals, Shamar Stewart. 18 Seahawks, Tyler Booker. 19 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jahdae Barron. 20 Ty Warren to the Broncos. 21 Steelers take Jackson Dart. 22 Chargers take Colston Loveland. 23 the Packers get Derek Harmon. 24 the Vikings get Malachi Starks. 25 the Texans get Emeka Egbuka. 26 Matthew Golden goes to the Rams. 27 Nick Emenwari goes to the Ravens. 28 the Lions get Donovan Ezaraku. 29 the Commanders get Mykel Williams. 30 the Bills get Walter Nolan. 31 the Chiefs get Josh Simmons. And 32 the Eagles get Nick Scorton. So very, very interesting to see how that plays out, man. So again, I think it's gonna shake out a little bit different on draft night for us, hopefully, because I think we're going to be surprised when we look at our PTA big board when we go into the draft. I think you're going to see 2 or 3 players that are going to be available that we like better than Derek Harmon. Albeit, if Derek Harmon is the pick, I would have no problem with it at all. So, there you go. All right, United Bates, you are the man, sir. I'm sorry I overlooked that. I was looking at the regular chat and didn't see it. He gifted 20 Packer Fan Total Access memberships here on YouTube. So you guys will go into the next giveaway. However, we are doing a giveaway tonight. We'll go ahead and knock that out. So obviously we don't have time to put those guys and gals on the list. But Bates, thank you so much for that dono and hooking some people up with some memberships here, man. Y'all ready to do a little giveaway? A little Sean Ryan autographed rookie card giveaway here. Somebody give me a number in the chat from 1 to 10 so we can shuffle this thing up and nobody says it's rigged. All right. Help me out here. Give me a number from 1 to 10 so we can shuffle this thing. You're welcome, Coach. As everybody listed in there says, thanks for going solo, Clay. Hey, you're welcome, man. I always love getting in here talking ball with you guys. It's always a blast for me. Didn't plan on doing 2 hours, but hey, man, it worked, right? Looked like the first number that came in was Bates at 8, Deadfish with 8. Surely y'all don't. Clint Armchair Quarterback said 8 as well. So surely Eric Sutherland doesn't really think it's rigged, right? Anyway, let's shuffle this thing 8 times since multiple people said 8. All right, good to see you, Eric. Hopefully family's doing well, buddy. I meant to ask you that the other night. Hopefully everything's going good there, my friend. Well, let's shuffle it real quick before we do it. So we're going to shuffle this thing 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, they hit the ads as soon as you start pushing buttons on here, don't they? All right, so the autographed rookie Sean Ryan card is going to go to – that's where Tim says big money, no whammies, right? Hey, H.E. Solder, my man. H.E. Solder, it's rigged. Eric said it's rigged, sir. I'm pretty sure we'll have no problem finding Solder. He's very active in the Patreon group. So let's spin it a couple times just in case he wants to. I don't want to put him on the spot. And I ain't going to put him on the spot. He's in here. You won. That's it. We're not going to spin it again. Solder, do me a favor, man. Send me a DM in the Patreon group, okay? And we'll get a good place to mail that to, man, whether it's a P.O. box or address, whatever, okay? Just hit me up in there with the DM, and we'll get you that autographed Sean Ryan rookie card. And, again, just another way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. I know Solder is a $10 member on Patreon, something you don't even have to do. You don't get anything extra for it. It's just him being generous to the show. So that's awesome that he won there, man. All right. Guys, that's it. You can hear the voice. It is going fast, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll be back again. I think I'm going to go live tomorrow night. I know it's Easter, and I expect a light crowd in here, and that's totally cool. But if everything, we have family up fairly early after church and everything, so we're going to be hanging out most of the day. If I'm not exhausted from chasing the nieces and nephews around and throwing the football around with ice on the shoulder, then we'll go live at 7 p.m. Central for a little Easter Sunday stream. But y'all hit the like button for us on the way out. Again, if you want to join our Patreon group, it's absolutely awesome in there. Just the level of communication we got, all the different chats. It acts as a message board. We're also putting articles up. Everything that we show on the show, you can find in there. You can go back and read it yourself. We're putting the Chalk Talk episodes up. Got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. What's really cool is once we get past the draft, we're going to do Chalk Talk episodes breaking down each prospect. Now, we can't do it on YouTube, but what we're going to do is we'll kind of tee it up on YouTube, let everybody know, hey, we're going to stay live on Rumble and X for Chalk Talk. And then as soon as that's over, I'm going to upload them to Patreon so you guys will have access there as well. Just another perk to being in the Patreon group. So, again, everybody, thank y'all so much. Really, really appreciate you hanging out. Rod has a question here. Did you say you were posting your horizontal board too? Yes, we are, Rod. Emilio is going to button that up. He's got date night tonight. So when he gets that buttoned up, we're going to share that link as well. So we're already over. Did I close my board out? I did not. Let me show you. If he is able to do it like we're talking about, let me put it on the screen and explain where you can find it when he does put the link up here. And he'll explain it again, but this will just kind of give you an idea here, Rod. If you'll notice at the bottom down here, at the very bottom, see how it's highlighting at the bottom? you'll see draft board. That's the vertical board. And then if you go to horizontal, that's where the horizontal board is. So you can just click back and forth. Emilio was able to put 2 sheets into one file. Hopefully that transfers over. So yeah, that's what we'll do there. Eric Sutherland with a little update here. I assume you're okay with me reading this. I know people were concerned there. He says, boys slowly coming around and getting better. Thanks for asking, Clayton. Hey, man, thank you, Eric. You're the man, dude. You're the man. Don't know if you're going to be at the draft or not, but anyone who's going to be at the draft, it's going to be awesome. Love to meet up with you guys and gals. Our plan is we're going to be at the draft all 3 days hanging out, and then when the draft goes live, we're going to go back to the rental property and do the live stream. But we'll be hanging out for probably 3 or 4 hours at the draft during the day. I know Ryan's going to be there. I think on day 1, Ryan Schlip with Packernet. So we'll post in the Patreon group and in other places too, I'm sure. Hey, let's meet up here. Just a quick little meet and greet, hang out, nothing formal. We'll probably be hanging around, eating a brat, watching people run the 40 and fall on their face, that type of thing. So look forward to meeting everybody there. Anybody who's going to be there, just know we will be at the draft for sure. So Deadfish is a horizontal board generated off of the main board. It is by grade. That's correct, sir. So now I put some extra RAS scores in earlier. So we got to go back through and make sure that those transferred over to the horizontal board. Emilio's going to kill me for it, but I'm trying to get all the RASs in. We're down to like pick 200 or something. But yeah, where they land vertically on the horizontal board is determined by that grade, which comes off of the original vertical board. That makes sense. So that's how they line up for sure. So, all right, guys, that's it. Voice is gone. Appreciate y'all again. Everybody in the chat. Bates, thank you for the dono there, man. You were awesome in gifting those memberships. We'll get those guys and gals on the wheel next week. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Hopefully, if not, forgive me, it is Easter, but we'll try to do a stream tomorrow night. If not, then we'll see y'all Monday. And man, the draft's here. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Y'all have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go back.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.